Chapter 15. An old movie played in my mind. It was playing in black and white, and I figured I'd already seen it, but I couldn't remember where. It opened on a straight-ahead shot of an old door, the kind of door that's got a streaky half panel of frosted glass, and on the glass it said blackly, "Spade and Archer, Detectives." The door was slightly ajar. A woman, wearing a gray fur coat, pushed it aside and walked slowly into the office. The detective gave her the eye. "Are you a client?" he said gruffly. "I don't know," she said, and suddenly bounded onto the desk and dropped a photo onto the blotter. The camera checked her face. In the palette of a black and white movie it looked gray. "Are you Spade?" she said. "Nothing of the kind," he said. "Archer. Spade's dead. He played the sap in an alley and took the hit." The detective, who himself appeared gray, looked at the photo. Then the camera looked at the photo. A slick-looking actor on the top of a dented carton with a rope around his neck. On the carton it said "Ball G," and then the rest of the word was hidden by an arm in a leather glove. The detective scratched at his chin. Then he squinted and said, "Ball G. Balg." "Balg?" she said. "Balg." He was scratching again. What kind of word would begin with balg? She seemed to think for a while. "Well, there's a country in Eastern Europe. Bulgaria?" "Bulg," he said. "Bulg?" "Bulgaria." "Oh," she said. The office started fading into a fog, and then the fog faded into an alley. Bright moonlight was bouncing off the lumpy coals of the cobblestones. A sign said, "Private property / no parking." A sign, "Private property / no parking," glowed in the light. The detective looked at the sign, looked at the van, looked at the wall that stood directly beside the van. Then he nodded, followed the wall. His rapidly moving shadow, made gigantic under the moon, became a tiger against the wall, then faded as the wall turned the corner and met the street. The detective stood on the street. On his left was the dark alley. On his right was the brick wall that formed the solid front of a building. On the building he saw a sign. The detective looked at the sign. Then the camera zipped to the sign, which said clearly, "The Old Ball Game." The detective started to grin. And then slowly, very slowly now, he walked to the waiting window. In the window he saw a clock, but he saw it in vivid color. Saw an arm as it reached for the clock. Saw the arm in a yellow sweater. Saw the arm as it lifted the clock and started to wind it. Saw the red-headed man who was winding the clock. Saw the man as he lifted the clock and started to hurl it straight at the window. I woke in a puddle of funk. A gargantuan fist of sunlight came and socked me straight in the eye. I rolled over and moaned at the wall. It was morning. I was in bed. Bed, as I know it, is a brown corduroy pillow on a shelf near the office ceiling. I was yawning. I was awake, but not completely awake. I still felt the fuzzy feet of the nightmare that was scampering out of my head. I moved quickly and caught its tail. Oh yes, I remembered. I remembered the whole thing. I was suddenly up and at him. The incredible smell of bacon seemed to float in the office air. I looked down. It was bacon. It was bacon and melted cheese, and it was sitting alone on the blotter, while its owner, unsuspecting, made some clattering sounds in the store. I could hear him going, "Ha! You have truly fabulous taste." Ha! So did I. I took the cheesiest piece of bacon, sipped some coffee, and hit the road. Spike listened carefully and tilted his dark head against the fringe of a white pillow. We were sitting on the bed that he shares with his roommate Donna. Donna works Saturdays, and was nicely out of the house, and had an early date for the evening. James, who'd come visiting, was padding around the floor. "So what you're telling me," Spike concluded, is that Sandy, right now, is being held in a dented carton in a room at the old ball game by a red-headed partner of Casey's, who is seen to be driving the van, which was parked in his private alley, which is close to the Berry Street Theater, which you pictured in part of a dream? It wasn't a dream, I said. Uh-huh. It was something more like a flashback. And besides, it's a perfect fit. I looked up. I mean, tell me another word that begins with balg. I wasn't arguing, Spike protested. I was summarizing. Oh. I started pacing around the pillow. For a moment, none of us spoke. I said, Spike? He said, no. I said, what do you mean, no? He said, no, I am not being part of a lousy joke where the punchline's a red-headed maniac with a bat. I'm not doing it, Sam. What? I am not, he said firmly, breaking into the old ball game and getting myself killed. I was nodding. Half right. Which half? He said. Choose. Spike stared at me for a while and then laughed, shaking his head. What a sweet talker. Yeah, silver tongue, I said. James? How about it? In or out? In. James was scowling as he sprinted onto the bed. Not exactly a wash in enthusiasm, James. I'm in love, he said. You know, it sort of, well, I don't know. It sort of gives a man pause. He's got paws, I said. Good. I've always admired a man with paws. Spike was marveling at them. James took it badly and smacked the air. Take it easy, I said, both of you. I need you both to relax. To begin with, we are not breaking into the old ball game. We're not? They said. Yet. There was silence again. When? Spike was shivering. Tonight, I said. Late. This afternoon, I said. The only thing we're doing is checking the turf.